It still isn't over quite yet, but 2020 has already been one hell of a year, in some cases quite literally. But hey, it wasn't all bad. So as we roll into 2021, let's take a look back. Here are 10 terrible, horrible, very bad, no good things that happened in 2020, and 20 nice things that helped us get through this awful year.
Well, let's just see how your story holds up to my polygraph test.
You know what, let's get the bad stuff out of the way first, and then we can end on a high note. And in all seriousness, some genuinely bad stuff happened in 2020, so for the sake of staying more upbeat, the bad stuff in this video is going to be more trivial nerd garbage and first world problems than actual grown-up real-life bad things that negatively affected people's well-being. Help! So if you want to hear about the real bad stuff, go really anywhere else. Sound good? Great. 2020 was the first year in a long time we didn't get any new Marvel or Star Wars movies, or really basically any big blockbuster movies. But hey, at least we weren't left hanging with Marvel and Star Wars. Avengers Endgame and The Rise of Skywalker were both good stopping points for their respective sagas. Well, maybe one more so than the other.
Look what you have made.
Oh wait, no! Tenet came out in theaters. Nothing like feeling torn between the desire to see Christopher Nolan's latest cinematic tour de force the way it was meant to be seen on a massive screen and, you know, not getting infected with a virus that could kill you or your loved ones. But hey, at least it's streaming now. We got some awesome brand new next-gen video game consoles, and it was stupidly hard to pre-order them. It's never easy, but with no midnight launches or a steady factory-to-store pipeline, scalpers had a field day snatching up thousands of units, keeping gamers in the dark as we repeatedly refreshed the same 7 websites, hoping for a victory. Apple and Epic's big Fortnite feud was petty and embarrassing, like watching 2 drunk millionaires wrestling in a kiddie pool full of money. Actually, that would have been way more fun to watch than Apple and Epic bickering. There were no major conventions to attend. There are some things that just can't be replicated online, and meeting in a physical place with hundreds or thousands of people who have similar interests for the sake of celebrating those very interests is just one of those things. Plus, you can't call it cosplay if you don't leave the house. That's just playing dress up. It's only cosplay if you have to lug a costume all the way to a convention center. The New Mutants finally got a theatrical release after like 5 delays over the course of 3 years, and then it went to VOD like 2 weeks later, and it ultimately ended up serving as an unfocused and weak closer to the X-Men movie franchise. Between leaks and angry fans, The Last of Us 2's launch was a storm, and whether you're one of the people who enjoyed the game and wanted to avoid spoilers, or one of those people who hated the direction the sequel went, let's all just agree that the game's release could have gone smoother. Speaking of which, Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed 3 times, but apparently that wasn't enough. It still launched in a pretty messy state on consoles, especially for people on the base versions of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Nobody expected consoles from 7 years ago to run Cyberpunk at the level of a high-end gaming PC, but we definitely expected something better than this. And of course, one game that did get delayed was Halo Infinite, and while it will probably mean a better game in the long run, it definitely sucks that the Xbox Series X's flagship launch title won't get released until a full year after the console itself.
Spartan, we thought you dead.
On a significantly more somber note, though far too many lives were lost in 2020, the death of Chadwick Boseman hit especially hard. On screen, his iconic performance as King T'Challa in Black Panther was a milestone for Black representation in pop culture, and off-screen, he dedicated time and money to charity, so learning he was battling cancer the entire time only made his legacy more heroic and his death more heartbreaking. Okay, anyway, shifting gears because we don't want to be a total downer, let's talk about some good stuff that happened this year.
So what's our plan?
Xbox Series X was Microsoft's biggest Xbox console launch to date, and while its launch library might be a little bit lacking, it is a powerhouse of a system that is ready for what next-gen has to offer. And with Microsoft's recent studio acquisitions, we can expect some incredible stuff in the future, including Halo, which will hopefully be more polished. After leaving us hanging for quite a while, Sony finally revealed and released the PlayStation 5, which, in addition to being the biggest video game console to date, is also one of the weirdest looking. But hey, it launched with a pile of good games, and that new DualSense controller is pretty cool. And honestly, if you're looking at the console itself while you're playing games, you're doing it wrong, dude. On the PC side of things, there was Half-Life Alyx. Valve might not be able to count to 3, but they still know how to make damn good games. The Half-Life 2 prequel took full advantage of VR hardware, pushing the boundaries of the medium and exceeding some very high expectations. Ghost of Tsushima turned us loose in a beautifully rendered feudal Japanese countryside to slice and dice to our heart's content. Sucker Punch surprised gamers with a free online multiplayer component, and also surprised Sony by selling over 5 million copies in 4 months, making it the fastest-selling original first-party PS4 game. So a sequel seems pretty likely. Keep an eye out for Ghost of Okinawa, or Ghost of Dogojima, or Ghost of Kamiko Shikijima, or maybe just Ghost of somewhere on mainland Japan. It doesn't have to be set on an island. Borat 2 was surprise revealed and released shortly thereafter after being filmed mostly in secret, and it managed to be hilarious, impressively relevant, and shockingly heartfelt. And really, was anyone expecting Borat 2 to be one of the best movies of the year?
You fist me. Now I fist you? What do you prefer? You fist me or I fist you?
Same time.
Fist each other. Yeah.
There you go.
Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout was the dark horse underdog contender in the Battle Royale genre, and it was equal parts heartfelt and hilarious watching gamers try to score their first crown. Doom Eternal ripped and tore its way into our hearts, offering more of the same fast-paced first-person demon slaying that made 2016's Doom such a hit, but also adding a grappling hook, which is never a bad thing. Why can't real-life Hell on Earth be this much fun? Probably because we don't have grappling hooks. Persona 5 Royal somehow managed to make an awesome game even better. Now, put it on Switch, you cowards!
Let me remind you who you're talking to. I am Kasumi Yoshizawa!
Netflix's Tiger King made us all armchair experts on the ins and outs of big cat breeding, private zoos, and Joe Exotic's sexual proclivities. Can you imagine saying the sentence, "Did Carol Baskin feed her husband to tigers" way back in 2019? You couldn't. The show wasn't out yet, so unless you read a lot of weird Florida newspaper articles, you probably didn't know who Carol Baskin was yet. DC Fandom was the next best thing to actual Comic-Con Hall H announcements, dropping trailers and first looks at the Batman, the Suicide Squad, and Zack Snyder's Justice League, which holy Snyder Cut Batman is actually happening. And of course, we got to see not one, but 2 massive new DC video games that we are very much looking forward to. After years of anticipation, Final Fantasy VII Remake finally came out, and it totally tugged our heartstrings all over again, even if it was only a portion of the full game. Let's just hope we don't have to wait another 5 years for the next installment.
Can you believe it? I don't think anyone saw this coming!
Though it was clearly aimed more at kids and families than hardcore Sonic fans, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie wasn't a complete disaster, and it did well enough that we should expect to see Sonic on the big screen again sometime soon. Now, who should play Knuckles? Our vote's on Vin Diesel. He's tough, but he's also fast. The Boys Season 2 pulled no punches, kicks, dicks, or exploding heads, and gave us some high-quality live-action superhero stuff when theaters couldn't.
You guys go ahead. I'm good.
If The Boys was too edgy and mature for you, we also got new Looney Tunes and new Animaniacs, and there's new Tiny Toons on the way. 2020 is apparently the year we all secretly turn 12 again. After numerous delays, Wonder Woman 1984 is releasing on Christmas Day both in theaters and on HBO Max for no additional charge to subscribers. And though it has managed to piss off everyone in Hollywood and has unforeseen repercussions for the entertainment industry as a whole, all of WB's 2021 movies will also be streaming on HBO Max, which at the very least gives us something to look forward to from the comfort of our own homes. In a year that was very difficult for travel, Flight Simulator let us live out our fantasies of traveling around the world to exotic locations, which, aside from the thrill of takeoff and landing, is mostly just sitting quietly on a plane and staring at clouds. Bring a book, I guess. Yakuza Like a Dragon reinvented the long-running, totally bonkers beat-em-up franchise as a full-blown turn-based RPG featuring a new protagonist and a brand new setting and a full English dub all the way down to karaoke songs, and launching on more platforms than any Yakuza game before it, making it an awesome place for newcomers to take their first step into a larger criminal underworld. And at the very least, it's much cheaper, easier, and safer than a trip to Japan right now.
I'm such a mess. I'm lost. I'm no good at this.
Though it technically came out in 2018, Among Us, the little indie game about trying to sneakily murder your friends and get away with it, became the biggest thing on Twitch. So much so that US Congresswomen Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Ilhan Omar jumped on the bandwagon to stream it, breaking records in the process, and regardless of how you feel about their particular politics, I think we can all agree that it's a really nice change to see politicians just playing video games instead of trying to get them banned. Disney announced a massive new slate of Marvel, Pixar, and Star Wars projects coming to theaters and to their Disney Plus streaming app, meaning that even if 2021 is another not-so-great year, at least we'll have tons of awesome new shows and movies to look forward to when we're not doom-scrolling on our phones. And hey, look, that's technically a 2021 thing, but we're trying to be optimistic here. You try pulling together 20 good things about this stupid year. Anyway, finally, shout out to Animal Crossing New Horizons, which couldn't have arrived at a better time. When many of us were quarantining in our homes, trying not to go stir-crazy, missing the hell out of our friends, or just plain being scared shitless at the state of the world, along came this charming, laid-back game that was the perfect way to chill out. And thanks to continued updates, there's always new stuff happening, so if we need to escape for a little bit, we can always head to our island and hang out with our cute-talking animal friends. And that one horrifying sheep in the clown costume that just won't leave no matter how many times we hit him with the butterfly net. So there you have it, an arbitrary list of 30 things that happened this year. What were your favorite and least favorite video game, movie, and pop culture things about 2020? Was this a great year for games despite being a bad year for reality? Let us know in the comments below, and for all things, well, just for things, I guess, keep it locked to IGN. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's hope 2021 is awesome.